5 CVs is the absolute minimum you should be bringing. Usually that consists of a card of 3 and a card of 2. Honestly, if you're bringing less than 5, you're a very silly Billy. You should be bringing 5, minimum, for 1v1s. And in most cases, you should be bringing, 6 or 7. So the way that works for most people is that they'll have a card of vehicle CVs, a car basically, and there's lots and lots of cars which are 80 points, roughly 80 points, and 3 availability. So here's a Humvee, but yeah, the Mutt is very common, right? The French version, the other French version, the other French version, the other French version. There's lots and lots like this. Here's the Soviet version, right? Soviet armored version, that sort of thing. The WD-40 Jeep, the British Rover, right, and so on. And so it's very, very common to get a card of 3 and a card of 2. I'm trying to find an example of that, but here you go, right? Card of 3, card of 2, and then in some cases you get a second card of tank ones. Now, I think there's a type of CV that lots and lots of people are sleeping on. And this isn't a good example. Let's go to 2Y, which I recently did a guide on. You can check it in the description. So if you take a look at this, you'll see that there's a card of 3, right, and a card of 2. Now, I actually bring both, and like I said, 5 CVs is the absolute minimum, so in this particular deck I actually bring 7 because I bring this one as well. But these are really, really, really useful because, and it's going to sound so obvious when I say it, it's half the price of this one. So there'll be lots of openers where you're like, oh, I need all my stuff, I need stuff around the sides, maybe I need a plane, I need some forward deployment, I need some recon, I need some AA, I need some tanks to actually do something, right? Or IFVs or whatever, I need to actually be able to do something at the start of the game. And so most people tend to buy one of these and try and wheel them around. And I'm telling you, that's a worse idea than getting 2 of these. And there's many, many examples of this. Sorry, my monitor keeps turning off. It doesn't really affect the recording. In some cases, you're lucky enough to get like something like the Sultan, which is 3 per card and only 10 points more than this, right? But this is a very, very common CV, the M577, and this is a lot less common, the Sultan. CV prices sort of all over the place. So, something like 8th US perhaps, I bring this 2 per card CV. I'll give you some worked examples, right? Yeah, I'm trying to use it more often. I'm just trying to find a really good example. Because yeah, the Sultan's 3 and it's only 10 points more, so that's a bit of a world of its own. But look, so here I bring the MUT and the CPC, and then the tank ones as well. So that's an optimum one, or maybe an infantry one. 3 cards of CVs is nice for 1v1 because they tend to die a lot. People tend to focus them down. 5's the absolute minimum. 7's kind of a sweet spot. Right, 7 or 6 is a sweet spot. More than that tends to be a bit too much unless you're, you're medi and you play where you just constantly send CVs around the side for the whole game. And this is super useful. So let me show you an example of how this compares to this in action. So I recently did a guide to 2Y, the new Soviet division. That'll be linked in the description. Of course, the channel members get it earlier. And I'd like to thank the generous channel joiners. Sorry, there's no time to get the names on the screen right now. I'm talking about something. There's always time for the generous channel joiners to get their names on the screen. They get the videos early. They get members exclusive videos. As you know, this is my sole source of income, which is why I shill so much. So there's always time for the generous channel joiners. Hopefully that's been enough time. Otherwise, I'll just have to slowly zoom in on my face or something. And as you can see, my opponent, right, he's bought the MUT CV. And he's only bought 1 because, if he had 2 of these, then he'd have 1 less infantry and he might lose this fight, right? It's a lot of money to spend on CVs at the start, 160 points. Just over 1/10 of your starting income on CVs. And I've spent the exact same number of points on 2 Potoks, right? You see, his is getting there first because it's wheeled, right? It's wheeled, so it goes at 100 kilometers an hour on the road. Mine's tracked, so it only goes at 75. So it's 25% slower. And you see that he does actually get the early lead. We've spent the exact same number of points on CVs. But as you might expect, look, the ticker stopped, and my other CV's still going. Whereas his now has to go all the way around, and he does send it all the way around. But you see, now I'm on a +1. And we spent the exact same amount of points on CVs. So now he's sending this all the way around, and I'm on the tick. And now I can send it over to here. It does take me a little while to do that, but look, I'm doing it. And, his is faster, and he could be a little bit faster here, But look, I'm on a +2 now, and you can put it down to a +1, right? And then this can come back here. But opening with 2 CVs, I mean, it sounds like such a no-brainer. The thing is that this is only 2 per card, whereas this is 3 per card. So you do want to make sure that you've got at least 5 CVs in your deck. I like to bring 3 CV cards in most cases. You know, a tank CV, a vehicle CV, and an infantry CV in the optimum case. In this deck, I've got 2 sort of Logitab CVs and 1 card of tank CVs, right? Sometimes you get a 3 per card infantry CV. You know, something like a Sultan you should be bringing every time because that's 3 per card and only 50 points, which is great. But yeah, these are 40 points, 2 per card, and you see, you know, I'm 100 points up on him. Obviously, it's 98, right? But if it's 100, then that means that, you know, if the game ended right here, I would win. In this case, it would be a draw because it has to be a 100-point difference and it's only 98. Let me show you another example. Right, so here is the perfect example, and once again, I covered this in the 2YA video because it is 2YA versus 2YA. So this is the perfect example because it shows what happens on a fairly symmetrical map. So if you just look at the zones, right, 3, yeah, what? Have I lost it? 4, 4, 1, right? So as you can see, you know, it's sort of like 3, 3, and then 1, 1, and the center one, right? And we're playing the exact same division, and my opponent decided to open with the 80-point CV. I spent the exact same number of points on CVs, but I opened with 2 40-point ones. One goes to the points on the right, one goes to the points on the left. And you just see how useful it is. Obviously, you know, other things are happening in the game. If you want to see the full game, check out the 2Y guide. It's very comprehensive. But you see, okay, so he did make a boo-boo here where he didn't fully cap this, which was a mistake, and it does happen. But even so, even without that mistake, you see that, look, I've got 2 zones. He's basically just got his second, and then I can just keep capping stuff. He did sort of mess this up. But the other thing is now that, you know, I can send this one into middle, and if I lose one, it's not the end of the world. It does end up dying. And then the other one can go to the artillery. In this case, this ends up just dying to this T-72. But you see my point, that I'm on a +2. Obviously, his micro with his CV could have been slightly better. Like, he could have had this, but I still would have been on a +1. And that's just because 2 CVs cap so much faster. Even though this is faster, right? The Bellazzar is just another wheeled 3 per card one, right? And keep in mind, I actually bring both cards. You should bring 3 cards of CVs. But yeah, don't sleep on these 40 pointers. Do not sleep on these 40 pointers. So there's quite a few of them in the game. I mean, I'm sure you'll be familiar with most of them, but we might as well just show you some of them. So if you go to Command Vehicle, right, and, you know, so this is, I believe, 2 per card, Div Mob. The Sultans are 3 per card, so you should just always be bringing those. And yeah, there's quite a few of these. So like this thing is only 45 points. Bring in 76Y. That's what I do. Open with 2 of them. This thing in 4th Mot, I'm pretty sure I bring. Just for the same reason. You can open with, yeah, look, see? And so 3 cards of CV is a forward deployed one, because sometimes you do need it. But like 2 of these for 70 points. It's great. So I open with 2 of these instead of 1 of these, and it works. And for the 56Y, or the 76Y is probably a better idea, look, I bring the 2 per card one. It's a really good idea. And I'm the world #1 Warno player, so you should listen to me. I believe on 27Y I bring this, and basically you just buy 2, right? They go to where they're going. The first one, because you'll cap all the zones at the start, and then there's usually one zone that's under contention, right? Everybody's fighting for it, that sort of thing. So one of the CVs then goes to that zone, and the other CV you put with your arty. You just click it, Shift F, and then it can just follow your arty around. And do that, right? So I don't really play 56Y that much, but you know, you see my point. I think I've laboured this long enough. So don't sleep on the 40-point, you know, 35-point CVs, 2 per card, and if you just buy 2 of them, it caps faster than 1 car. It sounds obvious when you say it, but a lot of people do need to think about it. If you'd like to see more guides, do let me know, and I'll see you around.